Right. There is some method to my madness today. I've one poem that I may have read a long time ago that takes me back to the early years, and then I have two things that sound alike, but hopefully they're different. If you told me, if you had told me 48 years ago, June 3rd, 1964, when I was working on Wall Street and getting ready to move to the Tony Riverdale section of New York City, that today I'd be married to a woman for 44 years that I didn't even know at the time. I was engaged to another woman at the time, living in our 250-year-old barn home. I was a lifetime apartment dweller and planned to remain as such. On the shores of a lake, Osceola, that I spent a week at when I was 9 years old and had forgotten that it ever existed. That a town I never heard of in New York, Yorktown, I thought it was in Virginia, and that I'd be the poet laureate of the town, have 10 books of poetry published after vowing after college never to read another poem and succeeding for 35 years. If you had told me all of this then, I would have thought you crazy. Now I just wonder if it's me. A lot of forks in that road and a wonderful life. So going back to some of that time, November 22nd, 1963. November 22nd, 1963, the day that the age of violence in my lifetime began. Lee Harvey Oswald killed the President of the United States, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, turning my life around as well as that of the country. We'd had presidential assassinations before, Abraham Lincoln, James Garfield, William McKinley, but they were well before my life and simply stories in history books. While we have had two more high-profile assassinations in 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert Kennedy, the nut murderers had already begun to emerge in 1966 with Charles Whitman in Texas Towers shooting pedestrians below on the street. And then in 1969, the country was shocked by the Manson family and its senseless killings. Even John Hinckley's attempted assassination in 1981 of President Ronald Reagan was not because of his political stance, but rather to impress Jodie Foster, who didn't even know him. That could be classified as crazy. And then we added hate to crazy, hate for blacks, Jews, Muslims, gays, children, and who the hell knows? Then we got Parkland, Columbine, the Pittsburgh Synagogue, Uvalde, the Q, just a big walnut, and many more. In 2022, we have had to date 3,179 mass shootings, 4 or more people shot by shooter, in which 637 died, over 2,500 injured. When will it end? When will hate go away? When will crazy go away? When will rapid fire weapons be banned? And the next one's on the same subject and as some of the same lines, but it was written before this, and it was aimed at the situation today. The equation, the Q, Chesapeake Walnut, Uvalde, the Pittsburgh Synagogue, Columbine, Parkland, all the way back to Texas Tower. It's the same equation. A deranged person plus guns equals death. Gays, Jews, Muslims, black children, well, who the hell knows? We can assume that the deranged person knows that he or she will die, that the policeman will arrive and will kill him or her. Or maybe the hate is so consuming that the final outcome is never considered. Whatever. It's the same equation. A deranged person plus guns equals death. When we wake up, the great Pete Hamill years ago wrote, how many home runs would Babe Ruth have hit without a bat? If we take the assault weapons out of the equation, less or no people die. When will we ever learn? Thank you for putting up with me.